Hello. Okay, so we are going to be reading Act 4. We're not going to read all of Act 4, but we're going to read the first 5 scenes of Act 4. We're probably actually going to read 3 or 4 of those scenes in this one video at first. So just I'll pause the act to discuss it, but then we'll just kind of keep going in the one video. So there aren't that many videos on Google Classroom. Okay, so Act 4 begins on page 189 if you're in your book. Of course, if you're reading along on the internet, it's on shakespeare.folger.edu. Okay, so in this scene, this is Gertrude. She goes to tell Claudius about Polonius's death, and then Claudius sends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to find Hamlet and recover the body. So that's what's happening in Act 4, Scene 1.
There's matter in these sighs. These profound heaves you must translate. 'Tis fit we understand them. Where is your son?
Bestow this place on us a little while.
Okay, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern leave.
Mine own lord, what have I seen tonight?
What, Gertrude? How does Hamlet?
Mad, as the sea and wind when both contend which is the mightier. In his lawless fit, behind the arras, hearing something stir, whips out his rapier, cries, a rat, and in this brainish apprehension kills the unseen good old man.
Oh, heavy deed. It had been so with us, had we been there. His liberty is full of threats to all, to you, yourself, to us, to everyone. Alas, how shall this bloody deed be answered? It will be laid to us, whose providence should have kept short, restrained, and out of haunt this mad young man. But so much was our love, we would not understand what was most fit, but like the owner of a foul disease, to keep it from divulging, let it feed even on the pith of life. Where is he gone?
Okay, so Claudius, upon hearing that Polonius is dead, his first words, the queen describes it exactly, like they heard a noise behind the tapestry, and Hamlet said, a rat, and he went and stabbed it. And the king says, oh, heavy deed. It had been so with us had we been there. If I had been standing behind the curtain and listening to the conversation, as I have recently stood behind in places and listened to the conversations of Hamlet, I could have died. Oh, that would be terrible. Way to make it about you, Claudius. Good job, buddy. Good job. Because, Polonius is dead. He should be the one that you're actually concerned about. Gertrude, are you paying attention to your man? Let's see what she says. And Claudius also talks a lot about how Hamlet was acting so crazy and we didn't do anything. We didn't stop him. We didn't, lock him up because, probably crazy people, that's what you should do. Claudius says a lot of, terrible things. Of course, that's not what you should do. But he is concerned, or he is saying they should have taken more drastic measures to handle crazy Hamlet whenever people were just thinking he was a little bit mad.
To draw apart the body he hath killed, o'er whom his very madness, like some ore among a mineral of metal's base, shows itself pure. He weeps for what is done.
Oh, Gertrude, come away. The sun no sooner shall the mountains touch, but we will ship him hence. And this vile deed we must with all our majesty and skill both countenance and excuse. Oh, Guildenstern!
Okay, so basically he asks where Hamlet went to, and the queen says, I guess to take the body away and maybe bury him or something. And then she says he is sad, for what he did. The king says, sure. Oh, we better get him out of town. We better get him on that ship and get him shipped off to England. And then he shouts for Guildenstern to come in. So Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, remember they're supposed to be childhood friends of Hamlet, but the king enlisted their aid to spy on Hamlet, so they're not his friends.
Friends, both, go join you with some further aid. Hamlet in madness hath Polonius slain, and from his mother's closet hath he dragged him. Go seek him out, speak fair, and bring the body into the chapel. I pray you, haste in this.
They leave.
Come, Gertrude. We'll call up our wisest friends and let them know both what we mean to do and what's untimely done. So haply slander, whose whisper o'er the world's diameter, as level as the cannon to his blank, transports his poisoned shot, may miss our name and hit the woundless air. Oh, come away. My soul is full of discord and dismay.
Okay, so they're trying to find Hamlet. They're going to make him leave the country with Guildenstern and Rosencrantz. Remember how Gertrude had said she wasn't going to tell anybody about what had happened, what Hamlet had said and what had happened? She runs straight to Claudius. So I don't know how you're viewing scene 1 of Act 4, but I mean, it seems like she's on the side of Claudius. Okay, so now we go on to scene 2 of Act 4. Hamlet, this is going to be him talking to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. They're trying to get Polonius's body.
Safely stowed.
Hamlet! Lord Hamlet!
But soft. What noise? Who calls on Hamlet? Oh, here they come.
What have you done, my lord, with the dead body?
Compounded it with dust whereto 'tis kin.
Tell us where 'tis, that we may take it thence and bear it to the chapel.
Do not believe it.
Believe what?
That I can keep your counsel and not mine own. Besides, to be demanded of a sponge, what replication should be made by the son of a king?
Take you me for a sponge, my lord?
Aye, sir, that soaks up the king's countenance, his rewards, his authorities. But such officers do the king best service in the end. He keeps them like an ape an apple in the corner of his jaw, first mouthed to be last swallowed. When he needs what you have gleaned, it is but squeezing you, and sponge, you shall be dry again.
I understand you not, my lord.
I am glad of it. A knavish speech sleeps in a foolish ear.
My lord, you must tell us where the body is and go with us to the king.
The body is with the king, but the king is not with the body. The king is a thing.
A thing, my lord?
Of nothing. Bring me to him. Hide fox and all after!
Okay, so Guildenstern and Rosencrantz are demanding that Hamlet take them to the body of Polonius, but he's like, So that's kind of where that scene ends. Okay, so scene 3 begins with the king and 2 or 3 people. Hamlet is brought to Claudius, who tells him that he is supposed to leave England immediately. And then Claudius is going to reveal a little bit more about his plan for England and Hamlet. Okay, so this is Act 4, Scene 3.
I have sent to seek him and to find the body. How dangerous is it that this man goes loose? Yet must not we put the strong law on him? He's loved of the distracted multitude, who like not in their judgment but their eyes. And where 'tis so, the offender's scourge is weighed, but never the offense. To bear all smooth and even, this sudden sending him away must seem deliberate pause. Diseases desperate grown by desperate appliance are relieved, or not at all.
Rosencrantz comes in.
How now, what hath befallen?
Where the dead body is bestowed, my lord, we cannot get from him.
But where is he?
Without, my lord, guarded to know your pleasure.
Bring him before us.
Ho! Bring in the lord!
Hamlet comes in.
Now, Hamlet, where's Polonius?
At supper.
At supper where?
Not where he eats, but where he is eaten. A certain convocation of politic worms are e'en at him. Your worm is your only emperor for diet. We fat all creatures else to fat us, and we fat ourselves for maggots. Your fat king and your lean beggar is but variable service, 2 dishes but to 1 table. That's the end.
Alas. Alas.
Sometimes Hamlet kind of cracks me up. You know how in the last scene, whenever they were asking where the body of Polonius was, and he said the body is with the king, but the king is not with the body. Probably is talking about like the old king and the new king. So the body is with the old king because the old king is dead and buried. And so, you know, like he's talking about this whole idea of being dead. And then whenever they're talking about where's Polonius, he says at supper. Except for he's the supper of worms. And so Hamlet goes into this like tirade about how, worms and maggots eat on dead bodies, and then think of all the animals and things that eat worms out of the ground and eat maggots and those types of things, and then those creatures are eaten by bigger creatures, and all of those things like nourish like grass and plants and things like that. So ultimately whenever we die, we're feeding like worms and maggots, and then eventually the animals are eating that, and then we eat the animals. Oh, it's like a happy circle of life. Anybody hear like the Lion King music right now? It's almost the same thing.
A man may fish with the worm that hath eat of a king, and eat of the fish that hath fed of that worm.
What dost thou mean by this?
Nothing but to show you how a king may go a progress through the guts of a beggar.
Where is Polonius?
In heaven. Send thither to see. If your messenger find him not there, seek him at the other place yourself. But if indeed you find him not within this month, you shall nose him as you go up the stairs into the lobby.
Go, seek him there.
He will stay till you come.
Hamlet, this deed, for thine especial safety, which we do tender, as we dearly grieve for that which thou hast done, must send thee hence with fiery quickness. Therefore prepare thyself. The bark is ready, and the wind at help. The associates tend, and everything is bent for England.
For England?
Aye, Hamlet.
Good.
So is it, if thou knewest our purposes.
I see a cherub that sees them. But come, for England. Farewell, dear mother.
Thy loving father, Hamlet.
My mother. Father and mother is man and wife. Man and wife is one flesh, and so, mwah, my mother. Come, for England.
Follow him at foot. Tempt him with speed aboard. Delay it not. I'll have him hence tonight. Away, for everything is sealed and done that else leans on the affair. Pray you, make haste.
Okay, so Hamlet's like, yay, I'm going to England. And then he's like, bye, Mom. And then the king is like, I'm your father. And he's like, you're my mother. Father and mother is man and wife is one flesh. So you're my mother. Mwah, bye, Mom. Just makes me happy. Now let's hear what the king actually has planned to happen in England.
And England, if my love thou hold'st at aught, as my great power thereof may give thee sense, since yet thy cicatrice looks raw and red after the Danish sword, and thy free awe pays homage to us, thou mayest not coldly set our sovereign process, which imports at full, by letters congruing to that effect, the present death of Hamlet. Do it, England, for like the hectic in my blood he rages, and thou must cure me. Till I know 'tis done, howe'er my haps, my joys will ne'er begin.
So he has a letter that's going with Hamlet and Guildenstern and Rosencrantz that is supposed to be opened by the English monarch, and it says, kill Prince Hamlet. So now King Claudius doesn't even want to do his own dirty work. He's having England do the dirty work for him. Wow. Okay, so on to Act 4, Scene 4. We are now with Fortinbras and his army. If you remember, Fortinbras is the kid from Norway. He's like the prince from Norway. And he had originally been marching, they thought, kind of into Denmark. And they had sent a letter off. A couple of the people in the beginning went to see like the uncle who is in charge of Norway right now. And he was like, yeah, my nephew's an idiot. Don't know what he's doing, but no, he shouldn't be marching on Denmark. So Fortinbras was told to march on Poland instead. So right now, Fortinbras and his army they cross Hamlet's path. They're headed to Poland, and Hamlet finds in Fortinbras's vigorous activity a model for himself in avenging his father's murder. Hamlet resolves upon bloody action. So that's what's going to happen in this scene. This is Act 4, Scene 4.
Go, Captain. From me, greet the Danish king. Tell him that by his license Fortinbras craves the conveyance of a promised march over his kingdom. You know the rendezvous. If that his majesty would aught with us, we shall express our duty in his eye, and let him know so.
I will do it, my lord.
Go softly on.
Everybody leaves but the captain.
Good sir, whose powers are these?
They are of Norway, sir.
How purposed, sir, I pray you?
Against some part of Poland.
Who commands them, sir?
The nephew to old Norway, Fortinbras.
Goes it against the main of Poland, sir, or for some frontier?
Truly to speak, and with no addition, we go to gain a little patch of ground that hath in it no profit but the name. To pay 5 ducats, 5, I would not farm it. Nor will it yield to Norway or the Pole a ranker rate, should it be sold in fee.
Why, then the Polak never will defend it.
Yes, it is already garrisoned.
2,000 souls and 20,000 ducats will not debate the question of this straw. This is the impostum of much wealth and peace that inward breaks and shows no cause without why the man dies. I humbly thank you, sir.
God be with you, sir.
Will it please you go, my lord?
I'll be with you straight. Go a little before.
Okay, so Hamlet's now alone.
How all occasions do inform against me, and spur my dull revenge. What is a man, if his chief good and market of his time be but to sleep and feed? A beast, no more. Sure he that made us with such large discourse, looking before and after, gave us not that capability and God-like reason to fust in us unused. Now whether it be bestial oblivion or some craven scruple of thinking too precisely on the event, a thought which quartered hath but 1 part wisdom, and ever 3 parts coward, I do not know why yet I live to say this thing's to do. Sith I have cause, and will, and strength, and means to do it. Examples gross as earth exhort me. Witness this army of such mass and charge, led by a delicate and tender prince, whose spirit with divine ambition puffed makes mouths at the invisible event, exposing what is mortal and unsure to all that fortune, death, and danger dare, even for an eggshell. Rightly to be great is not to stir without great argument, but greatly to find quarrel in a straw when honor's at the stake. How stand I then, that have a father killed, a mother stained, excitements of my reason and my blood, and let all sleep, while to my shame I see the imminent death of 20,000 men, that for a fantasy and trick of fame go to their graves like beds, fight for a plot whereon the numbers cannot try the cause, which is not tomb enough and continent to hide the slain. Oh, from this time forth, my thoughts be bloody, or be nothing worth.
Okay, so Hamlet, looking at Fortinbras is this, he's in a similar situation where he's like the young prince of the country, but he's out leading an army. He's out putting action behind his thoughts and words. And Hamlet just feels grossly like passive. He feels like he just has not been taking action. If we think he's been running around acting crazy, talking a lot, but he hasn't really taken a lot of actions. And even in at the point whenever he was in the room with Claudius, because Claudius was praying, he chose not to take action on Claudius's body to harm him. But Hamlet wants revenge. So he has just vowed, looking at Fortinbras, he thinks Fortinbras is a pretty legit young fella, young prince of Norway. And so he's like, you know what? I'm going to learn from him. I'm going to go back and I'm going to, from this point on, my thoughts are going to be bloody. I'm not going to just, think big ideas. I'm going to do things. I'm going to be a person of action, not just a person of words. So, Okay, so that ends Act 4, Scene 4.